If you had to sit in complete silence for 1 hour, no phone, no TV, no music, no distractions, you'd lose your fucking mind. Not because silence is painful, because you'd finally feel how empty you actually are, how hollow your life has become, how little substance is left underneath all the noise you use to drown yourself out. You've been running from that emptiness so long you forgot it was there. But it's there, growing, eating you alive from the inside. And every minute you spend scrolling, binging, consuming is another minute you're feeding it. We're all running, every single one of us, running from the same thing. We pretend we're busy, productive, living our best life, but strip away the Netflix, the scrolling, the podcasts, the music in your ears every second you're alone, what's left? You. Just you. And that's the last thing you want to face. Schopenhauer said something nobody wants to hear. Life swings like a pendulum between pain and boredom. That's it. You're either suffering because you want something you don't have, or you're bored because you got what you wanted and now it means nothing. And he was right. Think about the last time you had absolutely nothing to do. No phone, no TV, no book, no person to talk to. Just you, sitting in a room with your own thoughts. How long did you last? 5 minutes? 10? I bet within 2 minutes you were reaching for something, anything to fill that void. Because the void is unbearable. The void is where the truth lives, and the truth is ugly. The truth is you don't actually like yourself that much. You don't like being alone with your thoughts because they tell you things you don't want to hear. They remind you of who you really are when nobody's watching. They show you the gap between who you pretend to be and who you actually are. They whisper all your failures, all your regrets, all the things you're too afraid to do. So you run, you scroll, you binge, you work yourself to death, you drink, you call someone, anyone. You turn on the TV just for background noise because silence is the enemy. Silence is where you meet yourself, and most people would rather die than do that. You wake up and what's the first thing you do? You grab your phone. You don't even think about it anymore. It's automatic. Your eyes barely open and your hand is already reaching for that screen. Why? Because you're afraid of those first few moments of consciousness, those moments where you're just you, lying there before the world rushes in. Those moments are dangerous. They're when the questions start creeping in. Am I happy? Is this the life I wanted? What am I doing with my time? So you kill those moments. You flood your brain with information, with other people's lives, with news and memes and drama, anything to avoid being present with yourself. And society knows this. That's why everything is designed to keep you distracted. Your phone? It's not a tool. It's a leash, an IV drip of distraction pumping straight into your brain 24/7. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube shorts, they're not entertainment. They're sedatives, designed to keep you numb, keep you scrolling, keep you from ever stopping long enough to ask, what am I doing with my life? Because if you ask that question, really asked it, you might not like the answer. You might realize you're not living. You're just passing time, waiting to die but making it as painless as possible along the way. Schopenhauer called life suffering. He said the only reason we keep going is because we're afraid of death, not because life is actually worth living. And when you look around at how desperate we are to avoid even 5 minutes of boredom, was he right? Your entire day is structured around avoiding the void. You wake up, immediately grab your phone. You scroll while you eat breakfast. You listen to podcasts while you shower. You work, which is just distraction disguised as productivity. You come home, turn on the TV, order food you don't need, scroll some more, watch videos until your eyes hurt, and then you pass out. And tomorrow, you do it again. You call this living, but you're not living. You're fleeing. Every single activity in your life has become about filling time. Not enjoying time, not experiencing time, just filling it. Like you're packing a suitcase with garbage just so it's not empty. You don't even care what you're watching half the time. You don't even remember what you scrolled past 10 minutes ago. It's all just noise, static, a buffer between you and reality. You ever notice how you can't do anything anymore without a second screen? You can't just watch a movie. You have to be on your phone too. You can't just eat a meal. You have to be watching something. You can't even take a shit without scrolling through Instagram. You've trained yourself to need constant input, constant stimulation, constant distraction. And it's getting worse. The distractions are getting faster, shorter, more intense. Videos went from 10 minutes to 30 seconds. Now people complain if something takes longer than 15 seconds to get to the point. Your attention span is shrinking. Your ability to sit with discomfort is dying. You're becoming less human and more like a machine that needs constant content to keep running. But here's the thing about running forever. Eventually, you get tired. Eventually, there comes a moment when the distractions don't work anymore. The show isn't interesting, the memes aren't funny, the music feels hollow. The notifications don't give you that little dopamine hit they used to, and suddenly you're sitting there in your room, phone in hand, and you feel nothing. Empty. Like you've been eating junk food for your soul for so long that you've forgotten what real nourishment feels like. That's when the real crisis happens. That's when people break down. Not because something terrible happened, but because nothing is happening and they can finally feel how empty they've become. You've been so busy running from the void that you've turned yourself into the void. All those hours scrolling. You're not just wasting time, you're erasing yourself. Every moment you spend consuming content instead of creating something, thinking about something, or actually experiencing something real, you're becoming less of a person. You're becoming a hollow shell that exists only to consume and be distracted. Every hour spent watching someone else's life instead of living your own. Every night staying up until 3 in the morning watching videos you won't remember. Every weekend that disappears into a blur of screens and snacks and nothing, absolutely nothing of substance. You're not building memories, you're not growing, you're not connecting. You're just existing in this weird liminal space between being awake and being asleep, neither truly present nor fully checked out. And the scary part? You know this. Deep down, you know. You felt it. That moment when you close the app after 3 hours of scrolling and you think, what the fuck am I doing with my life? But then what do? You open another app because facing that question is too painful. We tell ourselves we're just relaxing, we're just decompressing, we're just taking a break from the stress of life. Bullshit, you're not relaxing. Relaxation refreshes you. Does scrolling for 3 hours make you feel better? Does binging an entire season in one night make you feel energized and alive? No, it makes you feel like shit. You feel hollow, tired, guilty, and somehow more anxious than before. Because deep down, you know the truth. You're not relaxing, you're hiding. You're hiding from your life, from your responsibilities, from your potential, from the terrifying reality that you could be more than you are, but you're choosing not to be. Because being more requires effort. It requires facing discomfort. It requires being alone with yourself long enough to figure out what you actually want. And that's terrifying. Because what if you figure out what you want and then you fail at getting it? What if you try and you're not good enough? What if you put in the work and still end up disappointed? It's safer to not try. It's safer to keep telling yourself that you could do it if you wanted to, but you're just not choosing to right now. You're just taking a break. You're just waiting for the right moment. But the right moment never comes, because the right moment is always now, and now is always uncomfortable. It's easier to scroll. It's easier to watch someone else live a life on a screen than to build your own. It's easier to consume than to create. It's easier to be distracted than to be present. But here's what they don't tell you. Easy is expensive. Every hour you spend distracted is an hour you didn't spend becoming who you could be. Every day you run from yourself is a day you lose forever. And all those days add up. They add up to a life you didn't really live. They add up to regret. And regret is the most painful thing you'll ever feel. More painful than failure. More painful than rejection. More painful than loss. Because at least with those things, you tried. You were present. You were alive. But regret? Regret is the pain of realizing you were never really there. You were always somewhere else, distracted, avoiding, running, and now it's too late. Schopenhauer said boredom is proof that life has no inherent meaning. If life had meaning built into it, we'd never be bored. We'd always have something fulfilling to do. But we don't. We're bored constantly, desperately bored, unless we're distracting ourselves. And that boredom reveals the truth. Nothing matters unless you make it matter. There's no grand purpose waiting for you. There's no destiny. There's no cosmic plan where everything makes sense in the end. There's just you in a random universe trying to find a reason not to be bored until you die. That's the truth, and it's horrifying. So what do? You create false purposes. You chase careers you don't care about. You pursue relationships because being alone is worse than being with the wrong person. You buy things you don't need to feel something. You scroll and watch and consume because the alternative, sitting with the meaninglessness of it all, is unbearable. You convince yourself that you're working towards something, that all of this is leading somewhere. But is it? Or are you just filling time until time runs out? Most people spend their lives chasing things they don't even want. They want them because they're supposed to want them, because everyone else wants them, because that's what success looks like. The house, the car, the job title, the relationship. But do you actually want those things? Or did you just accept them as goals because questioning them would mean facing the fact that you don't know what you actually want? And that's terrifying. Not knowing what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, then what are you doing? What's the point of any of this? So you don't ask. You just keep moving, keep working, keep consuming, keep distracting yourself. Because motion feels like progress even when you're going nowhere. But the distractions don't actually solve the problem. They just delay it. They just postpone the inevitable moment when you'll have to face yourself. And that moment always comes. It comes when you're lying in bed at 3 a.m, phone finally dead, and you can't sleep because your thoughts won't stop. It comes when you're driving alone and the song ends and there's just silence and you. It comes when you achieve the thing you thought would make you happy and you realize you still feel empty inside. It comes at your birthday when you realize another year passed and you can't remember what you did with it. It comes when you see an old friend who's actually doing something with their life and you realize you've been treading water for years. It comes when you look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back because you've been so disconnected from yourself for so long. That moment always comes. And when it does, you'll realize you wasted years running from it. You might be thinking, okay, I get it, I'm too distracted. I'll change. No, you won't. You won't change because distraction isn't just a habit anymore, it's an addiction. Your brain has been rewired. Those little dopamine hits from notifications, from new videos, from scrolling, they've changed your neural pathways. You're literally addicted to distraction. Try to quit. Just try. Try going one full day without your phone, without TV, without music, without anything to distract you. You can't do it. Most people can't even make it an hour. And even if you try, even if you delete the apps and put your phone away, you know what happens? You'll find new distractions. You'll clean your room for the 5th time this week. You'll reorganize things that don't need organizing. You'll suddenly decide you need to research some random topic because your brain is desperate, absolutely desperate to avoid being alone with itself. You're not just running from boredom, you're running from existence itself. You're running from the fact that you're going to die one day and all of this might not matter at all. You're running from the crushing weight of freedom, the fact that you could do anything with your life, which means you have no excuse for not doing what you really want. You're running from your own mediocrity, from the gap between who you are and who you wish you were. And the worst part? Running is exhausting. All this distraction, all this avoidance, it drains you. It takes more energy to run from yourself than it does to face yourself. But you keep running anyway because you've been running so long you don't remember how to stop. You've forgotten how to just be, how to sit, how to exist without needing something external to validate that existence. You've lost the ability to be comfortable in your own skin, in your own mind, in your own presence. And that loss is quietly destroying you. Let me tell you what you're actually afraid of. You're not afraid of boredom. Boredom is just the symptom. You're afraid that if you stop distracting yourself, if you actually sit in silence with your own thoughts, you'll discover something terrible. That you're not special. That your life doesn't have some grand meaning. That you're just another person living and dying like billions before you, and nothing you do will really matter in the end. You're afraid that the voice in your head telling you you're wasting your life is right. You're afraid that the dreams you had when you were younger are dead, and you killed them by choosing comfort over courage, safety over risk, distraction over presence. You're afraid that you're weak, that you don't have what it takes, that if you actually tried to be the person you claim you want to be, you'd fail, and then you'd have to admit you were never good enough in the first place. So you don't try. You distract yourself instead. Because if you don't try, you can keep telling yourself the comforting lie, I could do it if I wanted to, I'm just not ready yet. I'm just taking a break. I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. It never comes because you're terrified of what you'll find if you actually stop running and start living. You're terrified of finding out who you really are beneath all the distractions. What if you're boring? What if you're not as smart or talented or interesting as you tell yourself you are? What if the only reason you think you have potential is because you've never actually tested it? These questions are unbearable. So you run, and you keep running. And the gap between who you are and who you could be gets wider every day. And here's the darkest part. Most people will never change. They'll hear this, nod along, maybe feel a little uncomfortable for a moment, and then they'll go right back to scrolling. They'll finish this video and immediately click on the next one. They'll say, "Wow, that's deep," and then do nothing about it. Because knowing you're wasting your life and actually changing your life are two completely different things. Change is hard. Change is painful. Change means facing all the things you've been running from. It means sitting in discomfort. It means being bored, being alone, being uncertain. It means confronting your fears, your failures, your weaknesses. And most people would rather die slowly from distraction than face that pain. So they'll keep scrolling, keep binging, keep running. They'll spend their entire lives fleeing from themselves, and then one day they'll be old, looking back, and they'll realize they never actually lived. They were alive, but they never really lived. They'll realize they spent decades avoiding a few hours of discomfort. They traded a real life for a comfortable distraction, and by then it'll be too late to get those years back. You can't get them back, that's the thing. Time moves in one direction. Every moment you waste is gone forever. Every day you spend distracted is a day you'll never get to relive. And at the end, when you're lying there taking your last breaths, you won't remember the hours spent scrolling. You won't care about the shows you binged or the memes you liked. You'll only remember the moments you were actually present. And if you spent your whole life running from presence, you'll have nothing to remember. That's the tragedy. Not that life is hard, not that we suffer, but that we choose distraction over meaning, comfort over growth. And in doing so, we waste the only life we'll ever have. So what's the solution? The solution is simple. Not easy, but simple. Stop running. Sit with yourself. Face the void. Let yourself be bored. Turn off the TV, put down the phone, take out the earbuds, and just exist. Just be present with yourself, with your thoughts, with the uncomfortable truth of your own existence. And yes, it will suck. It will suck so much. You'll feel anxious, restless, uncomfortable. Your brain will scream at you to pick up the phone, to turn something on, to do anything other than sit there. But if you can push through that, if you can sit with the discomfort long enough, something changes. You start to hear yourself again. The real you, not the distracted, numbed out version. You start to remember what you actually care about, what you actually want, who you actually are beneath all the noise. And then, maybe, you can start to build a life worth living instead of a life worth escaping from. But it won't be easy. It won't happen overnight. You'll fail. You'll pick up your phone again. You'll fall back into old patterns. That's okay. That's part of the process. The point isn't to be perfect. The point is to keep trying, to keep choosing presence over distraction, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because every moment you choose to face yourself instead of run from yourself, you get a little bit of yourself back. You reclaim a piece of your life. You become slightly more whole, slightly more real, slightly more alive. But most of you won't do this. You'll watch this video, feel something for a moment, and then go right back to whatever you were doing before. Because the void is scary, and distraction is comfortable, and change is hard. And that's fine. That's your choice. Schopenhauer was probably right anyway. Life is suffering either way. You can suffer through growth and face yourself, or you can suffer through emptiness and keep running. Either way, you suffer. The only question is, what kind of suffering do you choose? The suffering of discipline and growth, or the suffering of regret and emptiness? The suffering that makes you stronger, or the suffering that makes you smaller? The suffering that comes from living, or the suffering that comes from avoiding life? Life sucks when there's nothing to distract you, but maybe that's the point. Maybe life is supposed to suck sometimes. Maybe boredom, discomfort, and silence are where all the real stuff happens. Maybe the void isn't something to run from, it's something to sit with, to learn from, to use as fuel. Or maybe Schopenhauer was right and it's all meaningless suffering and we're just coping. Either way, you're gonna die one day. The clock is ticking. Every second you spend distracted is a second you'll never get back. So what are you gonna do? Keep running? Keep scrolling? Keep pretending you'll change someday? Or are you gonna stop right now and face the terrifying, uncomfortable, beautiful reality of being alive? Your choice. But choose quickly. Time doesn't wait for anyone, and neither does the void. But let me be honest with you about something else. You're hurting right now, aren't you? Not the kind of pain that shows up in your body, not the kind you can point to. The other kind, the kind that lives in the space between who you are and who you thought you'd be by now. That ache that comes from knowing you're capable of more, but watching yourself choose less day after day. That quiet devastation of watching years disappear into nothing. That feeling of being trapped inside a life that looks fine from the outside, but feels hollow from the inside. You're exhausted from pretending it doesn't hurt, from smiling when people ask how you're doing, from acting like everything's fine when you can barely recognize yourself anymore, from carrying this weight alone because admitting it out loud feels like admitting you failed. And the worst part, nobody talks about this. Nobody admits they feel this way. So you think you're the only one. You think everyone else has it figured out. You think you're uniquely broken, uniquely lost, uniquely stuck. But you're not. You're just human. And being human in this world, in this time, with all these distractions and pressures and expectations, it's fucking brutal. It's brutal to exist with full consciousness, to be aware of your own mortality, to carry the weight of infinite choices and limited time, to feel everything while being told to keep moving, keep producing, keep smiling. Nobody prepared you for how hard it would be to just exist, to wake up every day and have to create meaning out of nothing, to build a life that feels worth living when the world keeps offering you cheap substitutes and easy escapes. And so you hurt, quietly, constantly, in ways you can't quite name. That's what the distraction is really covering up. Not boredom, pain. The kind of existential pain that comes from being alive and aware and unsure if any of it means anything at all. You scroll because it hurts less than sitting with that pain. You binge shows because it hurts less than facing how far you've drifted from yourself. You stay busy because it hurts less than admitting you don't know what you're doing with your life. But the pain doesn't go away when you avoid it. It just gets worse. It compounds. It metastasizes into something deeper and darker. It turns into depression, into anxiety, into numbness, into that terrible feeling of being alive but not really living, of going through the motions without meaning, of existing in a fog you can't quite escape. The pain you're running from by distracting yourself, it's the same pain that will destroy you if you keep running. Because unprocessed pain doesn't disappear, it doesn't evaporate, it just sits inside you, growing heavier, until one day you wake up and realize you can't remember the last time you felt anything real. You can't remember the last time you were genuinely happy, genuinely excited, genuinely present. You've been numb for so long that numb feels normal. And that's when you realize the distraction didn't save you from the pain. It just delayed it while making it worse. So yeah, you're hurting, and you should hurt, because that pain is trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that the life you're living isn't the life you're supposed to be living. It's trying to tell you you've drifted too far from yourself. It's trying to wake you up before it's too late. That pain is not your enemy. It's a signal. It's your deepest self screaming at you through the noise, begging you to stop running, to turn around, to come home to yourself. But you keep ignoring it. You keep medicating it with screens and substances and busyness. You keep treating the symptom instead of the disease. And I get it. Facing that pain is terrifying. Sitting with it feels impossible. Admitting you're lost feels like giving up. It's so much easier to just keep going, keep pretending, keep hoping it'll get better on its own. But it won't. It never does. Not unless you turn around and face it. Not unless you stop running and start feeling. Really feeling. All of it. The pain, the fear, the emptiness, the regret, the longing, the grief for the life you haven't lived and the person you haven't become. You have to feel it. All of it. That's the only way through. And it's going to hurt worse than anything you've ever felt. It's going to break you open. It's going to make you question everything. It's going to be so uncomfortable you'll want to run back to the distractions 1,000 times. But if you can stay with it, if you can let yourself break instead of numbing yourself before the breaking happens, if you can sit in that pain and let it wash over you and through you without trying to escape it, something miraculous happens. You start to heal. Not in a pretty way, not in a clean way, but in a real way, in a way that actually means something. You start to put yourself back together,
piece by piece, but this time you're building something real, something that's actually yours, something that feels like it matters. The pain becomes the path, the breaking becomes the breakthrough, the void becomes the birthplace of something new. But only if you stop running, only if you turn around and face it, only if you choose the pain of growth over the pain of avoidance. Most people never do this. They spend their entire lives running from pain and wondering why they feel so empty. They die with all that pain still inside them, unprocessed, unhealed, festering. Don't be most people. Feel it, face it, let it break you if it has to. Because the person you are after you break is stronger, realer, more alive than the person you were before you broke. The person who's been broken and healed is someone who can actually live, not just survive. That's what's waiting on the other side of the pain you've been running from. Not happiness necessarily, not some perfect life where nothing hurts, but something better, something realer. A life where you're actually present, where you're actually you, where the pain you feel is clean pain, growth pain, the pain of being alive instead of the dull ache of slow death by distraction. So stop running, not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because running is killing you and you know it. Stop, turn around, face the void, face the pain, face yourself. It's time. You know it's time. You've known for a while now. You're just scared. And that's okay. Be scared, but do it anyway. Choose the pain that leads somewhere over the pain that leads nowhere. Choose presence over distraction. Choose truth over comfort. Choose living over merely existing. It won't fix everything, but it's a start, and a start is all you need. The rest will come. Slowly, painfully, imperfectly, but it will come. But only if you stop running. Only if you start now. If you made it here, you felt something. Share this with someone drowning at 3 in the morning. That's what saves people, knowing they're not alone. If this speaks your language, join as a member. It keeps this honest. Super Thanks exists too, but watching and thinking, that's enough. This isn't for everyone. It's for those who'd rather face brutal truth than comfortable lies.